Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 5 of the Premier Tier Performance League Racing. My name is Shara Shaft. I will be your commentator today, and I'm very excited. This is a personal favourite track of mine, and as you can see, we've got some rain in qualifying. What more chaos can you want? It's just me today, so lots of gap filling, lots of spaces to be filled, but I can be known to talk a lot of rubbish on a good day, so shouldn't be too much of an issue for me. How are you all doing? Those of you in the chat, see Grumpy, nice to see you, Grumpy. If you are in the chat, please feel free to keep me company, as it might be a long session for us. I have got word from my weather correspondent though that we are expecting a dry race, so shouldn't be as much chaos as we might get in qualifying. For those of you that aren't aware, Performance League Racing, we are a Formula 1 league racing competition, and yeah, this is Premier Tier, this is our top tier. We've got 3 divisions, so these are the creme de la creme, the top lot, and just coming through on their first laps now, so not much to report home. But yeah, with a wet qualifying, we should see that there is not much of a tyre strategy. And the space filler I'm being known as. Hey Tambar, how you doing? Yeah, with a wet qualifying, we shouldn't see any tyre strategy here. The guys will just be trying to get in their quickest lap, and that should free everyone up to have free choice of tyres at the start of the race. Adri making contact with the wall there. I do not think he'll be the last one in this qualifying. I imagine we'll be getting lots of contacts in that castle section, particularly with the intermediate tyres on. Current day in the Mercedes, putting through the current best time of 1:53.7. Really hard to predict what sort of times to expect from these guys, to be honest. With intermediate tyres, it's an ever-changing climate. The track can easily get much better, it can easily get much worse. It really is a lottery in these sorts of conditions, so I imagine a lot of these guys are just going to be fueling themselves up for a few laps, going out there and just banking them in one after the other, getting used to this sort of track temperature, this sort of what grip they have, and getting up to speed and hopefully putting in a good bank-it. Looks like the 1:53 is the time to be right now. Kaus is in the Williams with a stonking 53.1. Might be a little bias from me today towards him, as I am a Williams driver myself in Tier 1. I'll try not to let it affect me, but I'm not going to promise anything. Particularly as Terrible's pointed out in the chat, I am a bit of a space filler, so some things may come through, you may hear. Apologies in advance. Jer coming through with a 151.5. Jeez, That is quite the gauntlet to throw down. Jer, definitely one of the strongest drivers in this division. Definitely was expecting to see him up there, but 1.5 seconds at this earlier stage is quite impressive. Suzuki in the chat, how you doing, man? Nice to see you with us. See you're not racing in this race. Hopefully we'll see you in the tier 1. Hey, the thing is terrible. You're calling me a biased announcer. I am one of the rare breeds that is happy to admit his biases, so I'd like to think that separates me from the crowd. As we getting more and more laps coming through now, we see quite a few drivers in the pits. I think from like 12th downwards, your Fruitfuls, your Adris, your Boaz, Steinmines, I think they were putting in laps and just had probably issues of maybe contact with the wall or track infringements going wide, as I believe they were on laps previously, but I mean that's to be expected around here. On these intermediates, there's probably going to be a lot of contact, a lot of front wing changes. And I mean, even in the race, to be honest, it's a dry race, but we are fully expecting at least a few front wing changes. So the mechanics better be warmed up and ready to go. Jer coming through now to finish his next lap. It does look like a timed lap, as it is fairly quick. Will he improve on his 151? He might do, you know. It's going to be close. He does, a 150.7. Jer, if you want your own division, mate, just let the admins know. This is outrageous. 2.5 seconds from the rest of the pack. Wow, that's made me a bit speechless, to be honest. What a lap. He has certainly got up to speed with these temperatures, these wet track conditions, and he is showing the group how to get it done. Will be a bit of a hard thing to kind of get used to, considering the race is, I've heard, going to be a very different climate. It's you're almost having to learn these conditions, and then you completely forget about them for the start of the race. So it will be interesting to see how these guys adapt. They are the top dogs, so if anyone can, these guys can. Yeah, Suzuki, Jer knows how to do it. He's done it before. You would probably have a pretty safe bet on putting him on pole, to be honest. At the end of qualifying. Good question, Terrible. Unfortunately, as a spectator, I do not have the question for those watching. Not seeing the chat. Terrible asking if we potentially might see soft tyres at the end of qualifying. Suggesting maybe the conditions dry out enough that the softs become the quicker tyre. I don't know, and I am going to guess probably not, considering the fact that it's still raining and we've got 8 minutes left. If we had any chance of soft tyres, we would probably have seen it stopped raining now. If anything, I'd say it looks closer to wet tyres. So I would have thought that the conditions are going to get worse, the times are going to get worse, but Jer is throwing that idea completely out the window because he smashed times, and we see the times are going down. Actually, we've got a few in the 152s now. Base in second, 152.2. Weir 152.4. Cali Rob 152.9. Cali Rob improving, as you see, as he's coming through the final sector here. He's half a second up. If anyone, well, I mean, first things first, these guys got to get into the 151s before they can close in on Jer's 150.7. Who else? You got Grumpy in the chat as well. Simon and Jer currently number 18 and 20 on the time trial board. Now that is a brilliant piece of research, which I very much appreciate, and I'm going to steal for my own. So, yeah, for those of you listening, forget what I just said. A lovely piece of information for you. Steinmine, if you're wondering who potentially could challenge Jer for the top, Steinmine is number 18 on the time trial listings for this track. Thank you. Yes, that is a lovely piece of research I did before this race, and I am taking full credit for. Tambar confirming. Jeff says it will dry up, apparently. I imagine it is drying up from the fact that the times are dropping down. Calirob 152.0, but it's definitely not going to be drying up enough for the softs. I think it's quite safe to say now with 6.5 minutes to go. Yes, Suzuki pointing out in the chat that Grack seems to be switching between softs and intermediates. I think that's probably just a fidgeting thing. I don't think he's genuinely considering on the softs. If anyone does go on the softs, I will switch to their point of view, because I will be fascinated to see how they do. Weirt's flirting with it. They're all teasing me. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's hard to say. We've still got free fall in the McLaren and Boaz in the Alpha. Still yet to put a lap in. Boaz, I believe, is on his outlap. We'll quickly jump to him and see where he's doing. Coming through the final sector now, so he will be putting a lap in. Boaz, also one of the stronger people in this division. So definitely someone we expect to be on the top end of the qualifying listings. Let's see where his first lap goes. It is 15th. Still needs to get used to these conditions. Definitely, you can see from that lap, he is not warmed up as yet. Cali Rob now in the 151s. Cali Rob is just putting these laps in. That is 3 laps on these tyres. We'll have a look through as you see these guys on their best lap tyres. They've all got 3 laps, 2 laps. As I mentioned earlier, they are fueling up themselves quite a few laps and just going one after the other. Probably a very good strategy to do here, just to kind of get yourself warmed up, get used to it. You will find that your laps will get better and better. Terrible confirming Tambar is getting intel from Calces. Yeah, that might need to be looked into by the FIA. Some insider information might be being had, allegedly. I'm not accusing anyone, please don't sue me. Let's see, so Cali Roll coming through now in sector 2. Jer, the 150.7, still at the top of the leaderboard, is just sitting comfy in the pits. He is, I wouldn't be surprised if we might see him retire before the end of this session, if I'm completely honest. As he is sitting comfy. Adri has joined Cali Rob, now overtaken Cali Rob actually into the 151s, but we are still yet to see another car in the 150s. If we do not see anyone going to the 150s, this might have to go down as one of the most impressive qualifying performances I've seen in this league from Jer. It's not just the fact that his lap is, from what we can see with the other drivers, a very good lap. It's just how quickly he banked it in. That was within 5 minutes of the qualifying session. He was 2.5, 3 seconds ahead of the pack. Very impressive. Cali Rob coming through now to finish his latest lap, to see if he can improve on his 151.7. This is looking quite good. No, he has pulled out of it, so clearly not looking amazingly. And oh, that's not good news. Terrible confirming in the comments. The FIA are now looking into some insider information. Tambar, I'd get lawyered up if I were you. This is not looking good for you. When was it? Was it 2010 in real life F1, where Mercedes, McLaren and Ferrari were trading information? I forget when that was. I think it was just before Hamilton went to Mercedes. Anyway, that's the boring Formula 1. We want the interesting Formula 1, which is the one we are watching right now. Current day in the Mercedes, speaking of, has joined the 151 club and put himself into third with a 151.4. These laps are still dropping, and these guys are going to be wanting to be out on track, I imagine. Jer has finally put down his sandwich and his drink and has come out of the pits again. It's hard to know who to follow, to be honest. Any of these guys could put in a lap out of nowhere. So that might sound like I'm excusing myself for poor broadcasting, but this is a proper lottery, and I really am just relying on the scoreboard to update me as things go. We'll keep an eye on Jer, though, the man of the moment, as he comes through to start his latest lap. Penultimate lap, I should say. And Suzuki coming through with the 2007. He does say in the chat, he does say it was like 2007, which doesn't fill me with a huge amount of confidence, if I'm completely honest. The word like there suggesting he is just as informed as I am. And unfortunately, Suzuki is now getting ripped into in the chat for trying to be a great sport and provide information. So Shame on you, terrible. That's what you get in this league for trying to be helpful. Terrible, terrible. That's what the FIA need to look into, bullying. It's just really not good stuff. No wonder he had to leave the league. He's not racing anymore. He said it was because he was too busy to commit. I heard it was because some stories were going to come out about some unfortunate behaviour amongst staff, but you know, you didn't hear that from me. Allegedly, please don't sue me. Right, back to the qualifying. Jer coming through the castle section now, comes through relatively comfortably. Doesn't look like any contact at all. Nicely hugging the right hand side coming out through the castle as he comes through sector 3 now. I mean, sector 3 is barely a sector, it is one corner, so you kind of need to get your lap done in the first 2 sectors. Looks like, oh, and Jet is improving. He is 2.2 tenths up on his lap. This man does not stop. He will have one more qualifying lap after this, assuming he has fueled himself up accordingly. What lap is this man going to put himself on with? Is this going to be a 150.5? Or it could be even better, to be honest. It's a 150.3. Jer, just stop it, man. You are a beast at the moment. That is outrageous. He's made a bit of contact with the wall there, so I think that is his qualifying up. The gauntlet has been dropped. Can anyone improve by more than a second? We are seeing some improvements now. Bronco moves up to 11th. Fruitful's finished. He's currently 7th. Current Day has the checker flag. He is 3rd. Adri now. This is a fresh set of inters. So he is fueled up and good, but... well, I mean, I say he's only 3 tenths up. Normally, you'd go, that is incredible. You're 3 tenths up after one sector, but if he has any hope of pole position here, he needs to be improving by at least a third every single sector. And considering, as I mentioned, the final sector is simply a straight line, you need to be making the most of it. We've already seen some contact. I doubt this is going anywhere. Base has already entered the pits. Cali Rob is improving by half a second. He will need another second on top of that half a second if he's got hope. But this could see him jump up. Potentially 2nd place here. Cali Rob comes through. Steinmine jumps up to 2nd with a 151.2. A great lap. Cali Rob the next to cross the line. Goes 2nd with a 151.1. Frosty stays in 15th position. Adri now coming through. Can he, I mean, it's not going to be 1st position, but can he move himself into 2nd? Coming through to cross the line now, and it is a 151.0. He does move into 2nd position, and I believe that is all she wrote. Bars has unfortunately validated, so his lap is up. Jer, as I thought, had given up on his lap, so that is that, ladies and gentlemen. What a sensational qualifying from Jer. Genuinely, I'm mind blown. I'm trying to, you know, keep it calm and professional and sound like a commentator here, but man, Jer, if you're watching this, that is outrageous. I don't know. Yeah, can we get a drugs test on this man? Please, this is some disgustingly fast driving. I'll wait until the final leaderboard comes up to confirm the grid order for our race today, as we have a wonderfully rare view of the backside of an F1 car there. Lovely. So your qualifying grid for round 5 in Premier Tier, Jer with a stonking 150.3, 7 tenths ahead of 2nd place, taking pole position, will get bonus points for that. Adri, a clutch 2nd place there at the last second. Cali Rob 3rd, Steinmine 4th, Current Day 5th, Base 6th, Grack 7th, Fruitful 8th, Matty Player 9th, Weir 10th, 20 seconds to go, plenty of time. Doug Trio 11th, Bronco 12th, T-Mike 13th, Kouses 14 places to make, mate. I believe in you, you can win this race. No bias from me, honest. In 14th in the Williams, Frosty in 15th, KDS in 16th, and Byers in 17th. I've not seen such a massive difference between first and last in a grid in quite a while, and I don't think that is any disrespect to Boaz in 17th. I think that is just full credit to Jer. I mean, the man's gonna, to be honest, even if he finishes 4th or 5th, he's still favourite to get driver of the day, just for that session alone. And here we see, in the lovely city of Baku, the sun is out, which means, as expected, these guys will have fresh choice of tyres. Now, I am racing straight after this, so I am torn about whether talking about tyre strategy. To inform you lovely people watching, and those of you in the chat kindly keeping me company, or whether to keep my lips shut and not reveal any potential information or research people haven't done. I guess the only thing I will say is I don't think you should be too surprised if you see quite a few medium tyres on the grid. I don't think we'll see full mediums, but I think, if I am to guess, we'll get majority medium tyres. There you go. It's a nice little cliffhanger there for you, kind of revealing some information, but not JH, my teammate. Oh, we're straight in. There's no formation lap. Apologies. That's 5 red lights, and away we go. With no formation lap today, I just remembered, and so we're straight in. Jer coming through comfortably in first place in turn 1. Adri following in pursuit in P2, manages to maintain all the action happened behind them. Steinmeier in P3, Callirop P4, current day Grak has jumped up. Let's see how the position changes. Yes, Steinmeier has jumped Callirop into 3rd position. It's all been clean so far though. No damage per se, no contact we can see, no yellow flags have come out, but there is lots of 2 wides now coming into turn 3. The front 3 have gotten clear. Callirop seems clear 4th, 5th. Fruitful has jumped ahead of Base. Base falling down into 8th position, has lost 2 positions from his starting position there. Ductrio, the only Ferrari in the grid today, in 9th, has also jumped up. The game very kindly ruining all of the secret information I wanted to tell by showing everyone exactly what I didn't want them to show. But thank you. If anyone had any money on what I told them to bet money on, you might have won some money. It'd be a terribly boring thing to bet money on, but plenty of medium tyres as expected. We do see some softs though. The thing with those softs is there is definitely going to be a pace advantage for the softs in these opening laps. However, they do drop off very quickly around here in Azerbaijan, expecting anywhere from 5 to 10 laps from those softs, whereas the mediums can go a lot further. And the softs do force you into effectively either a 2-stop or a 1-stop with the hards, which are considerably slower around here. So definitely a lot of strategy options for these guys, and will be very interesting to see how they progress and how they change as the race goes on. Jer really showing that he's not just a wet racer in Azerbaijan by already building up half a second lead from Adri. Adri is close though. Steinmeier and Callirop, the front 3, starting to pull away. Callirop now 1.5 seconds behind. For anyone in that pack behind Callirop, thinking current day, Grak, Fruitful, if any of those guys have any hopes of a podium, they're going to want to make some moves early and build up through, because that pack at the front 3, Jer, Adri and Steinmeier, definitely threatening to split themselves off from the rest of the group. Looking through into chat, Suzuki very kindly suggesting a soft medium is possible. That is true. These soft tyres you can get them to a good 10 laps or so. The mediums can all then do comfortably do a good 16. It will require some tyre management, however, and you will need to lose some lap times in order to manage those tyres. So it's a coin flip really of whether you go for the better strategy or whether you push, try and make your positions and hope that the race falls into your hands. There's so much potential here for a safety car as well with these guys, particularly that castle section and this turn through in here. As we see, speaking of, a bit of contact on the wall there. I don't know which turn it is, so I'm just going to call it turn 14. That's a complete and utter guess, but that's what it's now called for the rest of this race. Castle section, turn 14, very high potential of contact, and so very high potential safety car. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys have planned the strategy on the basis of expecting something at some point. as we come through to start lap 3 here. Jer just hitting fastest lap after fastest lap, already come out as DRS is enabled. Has already split off a second from Adri. This is looking ominous for the rest of the pack. Jer is just in a league of his own today, quite literally. Yeah, Terrible in the chat asking if the medium runners are doing a one stop. It's a good question. It's not necessarily confirmed. I mean, those hard tyres, you can easily do a one stop medium to hard. You can easily do a one stop soft to hard. But those hard tyres do have a significant pace disadvantage from the others. So there is definitely viable options in utilising a two stop if you can give yourself enough clean air to make use of the extra set of tyres. The biggest issue around here in Baku is because so much of this track is so narrow and you're stuck behind cars in the dirty air. If you time your pit stops incorrectly, if you come out at the wrong time, you can find yourself with a huge tyre advantage and not being able to utilise it. So this race is far from done, believe you me. Suzuki throwing in the chat a suggestion that Jer might be on a wet setup. I really do not think, I mean, you might be right. I do not know what's going on in their garage, but I will be gobsmacked if he's on a wet setup. I imagine that all of these guys, well, majority of them put on a dry setup knowing it was going to be dry in the race. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see how these guys improve. I'm going to jump off a position change now. Move on to, just to confirm, Steinmeier 3-second penalty already. That is not what he would have wanted. And it's a virtual safety car. KDS, let me just quickly do my job. He has had contact. I don't know if that was contact with anyone. Frosty has moved into the pits, which suggests it might have been contact between KDS and Frosty. KDS, I imagine, it did look like he'd lost his front wing, will be jumping into the pits as well. Now, this is very interesting. The virtual safety car times itself so that the majority of the grid will most likely not have any time to do a pit stop. However, as you see the green light come through and the drivers will be back into it now. The thing for these two, Frosty and KDS, they can potentially jump into the hards, because the hards can get you pretty much the full race, but interestingly, neither of them have done so. Frosty moving from the mediums to the softs, I'm assuming he was on the mediums. KDS go from the softs to the mediums, so those guys will need to pit again at some point this race. As you can see on the bottom right of the minimap, Jer has split himself off. We then have a pack of two with Steinmeier and Adria right behind them. And then we have a huge gap to current day in fourth, starting to separate himself off, but definitely this is where we see the main pack. Doug Trio, Matty Player, and then they're all right alongside each other. God, they get so close to the wall. That is a sweaty time watching that. You would not want to be the engineers watching the cars get that close. Yeah, Grumpy just confirming in the chat that a lot of the drivers confirming they qualified on a dry setup, which is completely understandable. Fresh, yeah, exactly. Terrible. That is a very good point. These tyres are all completely fresh because none of them were qualified on. So I think what the sort of laps that they probably were thinking they might be able to get out of them, you can easily add a couple more on, as they are fresher than you would expect from quality tyres. As jumping through here, I think for Frosty and KDS, again, you can see them on the mini-map, they are so far off from the rest of the group. They're definitely not out of this. I mean, with Performance League Racing, you get points up and down the grid, assuming you do not manually DNF yourself in the pits. So they're definitely still in for some points, and you never know around here. Again, we've already had one virtual safety car in the first 4 laps. There's always the potential of a full safety car, which will bring them right back into it. But even failing that, I will be gobsmacked. I might be eating my words by the end of this race, but I'll be gobsmacked if we do not get some crashes, some DNFs, manual or forced from a broken car. So definitely not the sort of race you want to give up on this early, as anything can happen. Jer coming through 2.5 seconds on those medium tyres. I think what these guys are really showing is that there's not a huge amount of tyre difference between the softs and the mediums, which is really interesting, and I think that bodes well for the majority of the grid who have started today on those medium tyres. And I think it's going to be really difficult for, I mean, if we're looking at front three, Steinmein, if he's got kind of any hopes of getting to the front of the race, he's going to need to show some fantastic pace. It'll be interesting whether he does go through on into a one-stop or not, as we see Steinmein getting overtaken by Adri. We've got a yellow flag at the back of the grid. Frosty has lost it again, unfortunately. So easy to lose those rear tyres around that final turn on the last corner of the long straight. We do also have a Premier Tier. Ghosting is on for these guys. We had a democratic vote and they chose for ghosting to be on, so not too much potential of a backlog up at the castle section, which is going to be interesting for Tier 1 and 2 as they voted against ghosting. So if we see a horizontal car blocking the entire grid at the castle section, I mean, at the time I'm probably going to be cursing, whether that's me actually horizontal or me stuck behind. But looking back, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be very fun to see how much chaos it happens, because as much as you want to win, at least from my perspective, I just want chaos. I want all sorts to go on. I want there to be crashes, I want safety cars, I want the most unpredictable thing possible, as we see Steinmein utilising the long straight, getting a huge amount of slipstream on Adri. Not close enough this lap, however, to make a move, but it is just proving how fruitful that slipstream can be. A yellow flag in Sector 2, and this is KDS spinning it again. KDS and Frosty really not having the best of times today. Really struggling. Again, they're still not out of it. Anything can happen between them. Grumpy in the chat asking for some rain. I doubt it, Grumpy, but at least, I mean, I feel like if anything it's probably more competitive for Jer in the dry, because he just seemed a bit unstoppable in the wet. But this just seems to be a place he's calling home, to be honest. He has not put a foot wrong all race. Yeah, Suzuki also pointing out that I did wish for a wet Monaco, and the gods did come to my rescue. I'm not going to lie, I hated it. It was terrible to race. However, so many people crashed that I came 6th anyway and got 24 points. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. Good things happen, bad things happen. It's just one of those things, you know. So, I tell you what though, I don't think I'm going to be doing a rain dance today in Baku, as I do quite like racing this race. That is just me. As we see, I believe some, is this a pit stop? No, it looks like Current Day has just dropped through, but we are seeing a pit stop. Fruitful is coming to the pits on his mediums already. This is crazy. I mean, Current Day moving in on the softs is completely understandable, and Kausis is going out. He will probably pit soon. Steinmein will probably pit soon as well, with those soft tyres definitely going to be screaming now. Fruitful moves onto the hards early. This is quite a ballsy move. I can only assume he was struggling to get any clean air where he was in the pack, and he is now pitting early onto the hards, which can comfortably get him to the end of the race. So he will be putting full trust on his lap times and hoping the heavy undercut, even with the slower tyre. As we see Jer making huge contact in the castle section. He threw it in there. That is not going to be good. He will definitely be having some side pod damage from that. Holy moly, ladies and gentlemen, we have a race on our hands. This is not done yet. The Baku god himself, Jer, has just definitely caused some, must have got some unfixable damage from that. Whether he suffers though, it's another question. Maybe he's just wanting to show off a little bit, force some damage on himself, and still win by several seconds, and just put a little cherry on top and make me look stupid in the commentary booth. Who knows? Only Jer does, because Jer does Jer things. Adri still 2.5 seconds behind. Steinmine, be interesting to see whether he pits. Looks like he is pitting. Yes, he is pitting now from those softs. They would definitely have been struggling. This is perfectly reasonable. Whether he moves on to the mediums or the hards, he goes into the mediums. Now, I want to say that is a one stop. Steinmine definitely got the quality to look after those mediums to the end, and the fact that he went onto 8 tyres suggested there was a little bit of care taken on those tyres, just to give himself a little less time to push on those mediums. He has got those 3 seconds to worry about, however. Kaus is also going into the pits from those softs, will be going to the hards, so he is comfortably going to get to the end. New front tyre as well. So all of the soft tyres, excluding Frosty, have been removed. The whole pack now on medium tyres. We'll just have a quick look and see, remind ourselves of the positional changes. So you see the back 5 all with the red arrows, they have all pitted, so it's not fully representative. But the big winners, Doug Trio up from 11th to 5th. Fantastic race from him so far. And Base, I think Base is probably in a net 5th or 6th, I want to say. Fruitful and Current Day definitely were ahead at the start of the pit stops. I say definitely, I don't remember, that was just a guess. But Jer, I mean, he's just looking unstoppable. Can anyone stop him? Jump back to the tyres, so we see these guys 8 laps in. Definitely, I mean, yeah, not going to be seeing any more pit stops for a while now. All of these guys have got tyres on that can either get them to the end of the race or get them a lot further into this race. Frosty stopped around lap 5, Grumpy telling me in the chat, due to an incident. Yeah, Frosty's had a couple of incidents, unfortunately. He's had a couple of spins and I think a couple of front wing changes. The same thing with KDS, which is why they are so far behind the rest of the grid. But I'm sure their constructors will be delighted at their persistence, not giving up. They know there are plenty of points still to be had here, and if a safety car happens, anything can happen. These guys are definitely still in with a chance here. And I think, I mean, the big thing here around Baku, I mean, it's kind of already been alluded to with the way these guys have been driving when they've been pitting, but it is such a fine balance between managing your tyres to improve your strategy, pushing to get the best laps out, and not damaging your car. I mean, sometimes it can be one of those races where tyre management is actually beneficial in more ways than one, because it stops you from pushing and risking that damage. It forces you to be a bit more careful, and a lot of the time when you're managing your tyres, less bad things happen. Doug Trio, the next culprit of the castle section, he does go, that was a full horizontal as well. Did not see what happened, unfortunately. Doesn't look like there's any front wing damage, but he has definitely got some damage. I will be very surprised if he doesn't, which is such a shame. He's been racing so well. Again, not out of it yet. Plenty more laps to go. Definitely more that he can get from this race. We'll have a look through. The closest gap at the moment is Weir, right on the back of Grak's tail. This back group, Steinmine as well in 9th, but Weir coming through, making the most, and we are seeing movement around as well. Weir's making the most of this slipstream. Will he go for a dive down the inside? He does move to the left to suggest that he will. All about the braking points, and Weir makes it clear of Grak into 5th place. Steinmine gets it clear of T-Mike as well into 8th position, making the most of those fresh medium tyres. He will have to go through this pack, which hopefully won't slow him down too much for his sake, as he knows that Jer and Adri have pretty much clean air in front of them. Matty Blair having a look behind Grak, who is in turn having a look down Weir. These guys are really close, and thankfully giving me something to commentate over. This part of the track, though, is impossible to really make a move. You see these guys so close together, but understandably no one going crazy, all being very good drivers. Matty Player, however, has got a Mercedes right behind him, and he is going to need to putting a great end to the second sector to give himself a chance. I mean, the thing is, with Baku's long straight in the third sector, it's so long that you can get slipstreamed, get overtaken, pull in behind the car that's overtaken you, get the slipstream back, and re-overtake all in the same straight. It is that long. So for Matty Blair, it's important to just be strategic around here. He knows there's going to be lots of cars around him getting slipstream. We're really breaking clear of Grack. Not quite enough, I don't think, to come out of the DRS. No, so these guys will all have DRS on Weert. As we jump through on board, Steinmine right behind will jump on board. Gets the DRS now from Matty Blair, has got the slipstream. You'll see just the pace as it builds up. Again, a battle of breaking points. Doesn't break late enough, and Matty Blair does hold on to it. Very reserved from Steinmine. I'm surprised he didn't push a little bit more. T-Mike starting to fall behind in the hards. Fruitful gets the move done on Boaz, utilising the DRS on his fresher tyres there to move it into 10th position. We'll jump back with these guys as Grant moves down the middle, down the inside of Weir. A great move there in the second DRS zone. Weir falling just a bit behind. These guys probably do not realise that behind them they've got Steinmine on the fresh medium, and he's making a move down on Matty Blair. Both give room. Great racing. Steinmine getting a bit squeezed from Matty. I don't think there was any damage there, but they lose time, and T-Mike, what a move from T-Mike. He smells that opportunity, just jumps down the inside. Fantastic move there. And he just jumps 2 positions on arguably the most difficult position to overtake someone, you could say, in the whole calendar. Fair play to him. Current day in the 11th position, moving ahead of again, just before the cars. What are these guys doing? Current day gets a little bit of contact there with the rear wheel. Don't think it will have too much damage, however. But my God, I would never have expected overtakes there. Fair play to him. Grack still ahead of Weir, but Weir will have DRS. That contact between Steinmine and Matty loses them time. So T-Mike now 1.5 seconds behind, but Steinmine is clear, and that is Weir loses it in the final kind of part of the S-bend of the long straight. That is not good for the Alfa Romeo as Steinmine moves up into 6th position with that error and that overtake on the DRS. He is utilising those fresh mediums well. We're now having to pit. Such a shame, he's been racing so well. And that pack of 5 are now starting to separate. Matty Blair second behind T-Mike, a second behind Steinmine, 1.5 behind Grack, who is now laughing. He has got heaps of clear track ahead of him to make the most of it. Grack promoted from Tier 1 last season, showing why that is the case and that he has got the pace to battle it with the top guys. We're pitting onto some hard tyres, comfortably getting him to the end now, pitting before the rest of the medium setters, so has the potential to effectively do an undercut, I guess, if he can make the most of the clean air ahead of him. Hope the guys he was battling with get stuck behind each other. Steinmine showing why he separated off from the rest of the pack at the front 3 early in the race. So much pace on this guy, and he is hunting down Grack. Should comfortably get a move done on the final straight here as he comes through to the final main corner. I say main corners, I don't. The S-bends, they're a corner. I don't call them a corner. And he should get it. He might even get it. Very, very smart there from Steinmine. Knows he's going to get DRS. Just pulls back a little bit during the S-bends. Doesn't want to cause an accident. Will still get DRS, even though he is now ahead of Grack at the point of the DRS zone he was behind. And even with Grack getting the slipstream behind Steinmine with the DRS, comfortably moves up into 5th position. Jer has pitted and moves onto the hard tyres. Don't think he had a front wing change, so he did have that contact earlier that we mentioned with the side pods, but has not pitted to suggest he's had a front wing change, as we see T-Mike pitting as well onto the hards. Just now behind his teammate Bronco in 10th position, so current day eyeing up Fruitful now on the long straight. Has got the DRS, has got the slipstream. Opts to move down the outside with Fruitful tagging on the inside, but Fruitful covers it off. A little bit of contact between the two. The fair driving current day now. If he can get a good exit here, he does get a better exit, but the straight's just not quite long enough to get it done, and Fruitful holds on to 8th. So a quick recap, we've got Adri in 3rd position. Will he react to Jer's pits? So Adri was behind Jer, was a few seconds behind, but started in the same tyres as Jer, and so will he react to Jer and pit now to try and avoid losing more time to the undercut? Or will he race his own race and just kind of go for the 2nd position? He isn't pitting, which suggests to me that he is racing his own race and going for that P2. Maybe not a bad move. Jerry's looking unstoppable. Base Rob, 8 seconds behind. Looks to be lapping Frosty now. So you see ghosting as Jer overtakes Cali Rob, who is slowing down and moving into the pit. So Cali Rob, again, interesting to see. So Jer's gone from the mediums to hards, comfortably getting him to the end. I mean, he's probably comfortable with his pace. He knows he can win it if he makes no more mistakes. Cali Rob also moving on to the hards, so we've not seen any mediums to the softs yet. See Steinmeier now up to 4th, effectively in a net P2. So that's the main, I guess, race happening at the moment. Is Steinmeier and Adri were racing each other at the point in which Steinmeier came into the pits from his softs onto mediums. So Steinmeier should be ahead of Adri once Adri pits. However, Steinmeier will have plenty more laps on his mediums, which will mean he will be struggling a lot more to the end. That could be very, very interesting come the end between those two racing hard, as Fruitful looks to have gotten the move done on current day. Or I think Fruitful was already in 8th, so maybe the move was done and he's just regained his position, as current day really locking up there behind Fruitful, maybe struggling with the dirty air a little bit. Let's have a look at, so yeah, Kaus is now in 15th on those hards, just behind Weird, who unfortunately had that incident. But again, he will comfortably get to the end, as you see KDS now pitting those medium tyres onto fresh mediums. He did start on the softs, so he doesn't need to change compounds. Again, those mediums should comfortably get him to the end. Yeah, Suzuki asking in the chat, we haven't seen a medium soft. No, it doesn't look like these guys are going medium soft. One of the reasons I quite like commentating Premier Tier is they give me good ideas for what to do for my race straight after, and I mean, no chance I'm going for a medium soft now watching this. As we see, so Adri, a reminder, we're lap 16 of 26. Adri P1, still yet to pit. He is 10 seconds ahead of base. So it looks like current day has got the move done on Fruitful. These two are jockeying back and forth, just not letting each other settle, as Doug Trio gets the move done on Boaz into 11th. We'll just have a look and show who has pitted, as we see. So Adri still to pit, base still to pit. Jer and Steinmeier, effectively your net P1 and 2, have both pitted. Matty playing Grack still to pit, and Boaz still to pit, as Wirt looks to have DNF'd in the pits. Unfortunately, had that incident earlier. Will not be getting any points today, unfortunately, now with that manual DNF. But he had the pace today. Really unlucky. Hopefully he comes back strong next time. As we see, let's have a look. Just confirmation of the penalties as well. Not a huge amount to write home about, which is interesting. There's really only 2 corners that you will likely get penalties with this street track, because the walls are so thin. There's not a huge amount of to kind of exceed track limits. But interestingly, only 2 drivers losing it. Actually, we go really. I don't know if that was just me, but it felt like he went really slowly there. Effectively lost a lot of time, but that might just be me. As he moves on to the soft tyres, Suzuki, if you're on the chat, we've got one. We've got a medium to soft, and now the test will be Steinmeier versus Adri, as we see Steinmeier coming out behind, and Jer is pitting again. What is going on? Jer is pitting again. I did not see him make contact with the wall, so I don't want to say he had a front wing change, but he might have done. But we're seeing lots of the final medium setters now that hadn't pitted are now pitting for their soft tyres. 9 laps to go, will comfortably get there. Rob has pitted onto the intermediates. Oh, it's a safety car. It's a safety car. I am blind. KDS has DNF'd. It's okay. Do not worry. I'm up to speed. So, apologies for that. We've had a DNF. KDS looks like he's had an incident, I want to say, and we've got a full safety car. So everyone's coming to pit on the softs. Rob looks to have made a grave mistake, has pitted onto the intermediates. Either that or he is hallucinating some rain on the track. Either way, we now have a shake-up with those 3 pit stops. So we have Adri on fresh soft tyres in P1. Wow, Steinmine, sticking with those mediums, hasn't pitted. He is in P2. We've then got Base on the fresh softs. P3, Chair has been dominant all race. Qualified and pole. Has been clear of the pack. Hasn't had to do really any overtaking, any racing anyone at this point. His pace has just been too good. Now sees himself in P4 in the fresh softs in what is effectively a shootout. Matty Player, P5, fresh softs. Grack, P6 for the fresh softs. Rob with the intermediates will have to pit again. Fruitful and Current Day with the fresh softs. Bronco's gone into fresh hards. I don't know if that was an error or if he's not quite sure the tyre life. Either way, he's gone to fresh hards, which should really struggle with the guys behind as we've got some more fresh softs. Yeah, everyone's pitted now. A few fresh mediums, interesting. So everyone's pitted except for Steinmine as the safety car stays out for another lap. Yeah, it's such a shame with Rob on the intermediate tyres. You hate to see it. It's nothing worse than assuming everything's all set up fine and seeing the wrong colour appearing in the engineer's hands as you pull in for that pit stop. Unlucky for him. So yeah, he will have to pit stop again. He has pitted again. Speaking of, he's gone onto those softs. So, with the safety car staying out another lap, yeah, this is a straight shootout. This is effectively a sprint race, ladies and gentlemen. They're in fashion now, and PRL, Performance Racing League. I know the name of the league. We're doing our own around Baku. A 1-stint sprint race, all on soft tyres. All of these soft tyres will easily get to the end. And then we've got Steinmine as our control factor, who said, I don't need you lot. I'm going to be fine. I mean, to be fair, Steinmine, no. I was going to say he might have a bit of a benefit towards the final couple of laps as the softs start to go out, but the final couple of laps he will have seen about 15 on his mediums, so they will probably be screaming just as much as the soft tyres. So, yeah, Steinmine's going to struggle here. It's just going to be all about raw pace. I'm assuming we will have safety car in this lap. Frosty is half a lap behind, but he's now clear of the pit lane, so I think we will have safety car in. We will see. I'm gonna attempt to commentate live play-by-play as this happens, so just saving my breath for the chaos that is about to ensue. We'll see, is the safety car in this lap? Doesn't look like it's calling it. So we're getting one less lap of the sprint, one more lap under safety car. Looks like. Yep, still one more lap under the safety car. So one more lap to warm up your tyres, giving Frosty time to pull around. It's taking his time, Frosty. Interestingly. Which means that all of these softs, one less lap to be pushing and to the end effectively, so slightly better condition for these soft runners, which is not good news for Steinmine. Very interesting to see how he tries to defend. Yeah, Suzuki said Rob has 8 laps to make up positions. Yeah, Rob has a lot of work to do. Be interesting to see how these guys race. Again, with what is effectively a sprint race and all of these guys wanting to push, we should see a lot more racing. But with more racing around Baku, with the street street circuit and the thin walls, the narrow walls, just opens up more potential for incidents, for contact with the wall, contact with each other. So very interesting to see how far these guys push it and how much they want it, you know. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put their desire into question here. If these guys want it, they'll make a move like Team Mike did into, I don't even know what part of the track that was. We'll call it turn, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, coming out of turn 4. What a move down the inside, overtaking 2 people. Team Mike's he's got heart, he's got spirit. I'm hoping we see more moves like that from him. As you come through now, and yes, safety car definitely in this lap, but the whole pack all gathered together. So Adri now slowing down. He is now in control of the pack. He dictates the pace, giving himself plenty to go. Will not want to go early. The straight being so long in Baku that the earlier you go, the easier it is for people to overtake you. So I'm assuming he is going to wait until as late as possible before he goes. Yeah, we see the pack really building up. Guys warming these tyres up. Adri knows what he's doing. He's no novice. He's leading Premier Tier round 5 in Baku. As we see, still warming up, the left and right warming up his tyres. Leaving it very late now as he comes through, and that's go, go, go. Adri leads the pack through. Adri coming through now, clear from the pack comfortably. Steinmine comfortably in set P2, but Jer, having looked down the inside of base, doesn't get the move done, so stays into 4th position for now. Matty Player still in 5th position. We'll move on to position changes so we can see as it moves. The front 4 still staying the same. Fruitful gets a move down on Grak, who's fallen down to 7th position. But other than that, the pack has stayed very sensible. We'll move back to the front. Adri now over a second already from Steinmine. Base and Jer right behind Steinmine. Jer is going to want to get this move done as quickly as possible if he's going to want to win this race. He's definitely got the pace. He just needs to get these moves done comfortably so we can hunt down Adri. The longer this goes on, the longer the Steinmine, you can see Steinmine's tyres really struggling from the rest of the group. Adri already a 1.5 seconds off. Base, Jer, Matty, the rest of the group are going to want to get this move done as quickly as possible. And it looks like Grak has had an incident. Grak has had an incident in Sector 2. And he has lost it. So unfortunate for him now. That is not going to be good. That might be terminal for his race. But this is where it is. This is the place to be now. Steinmine in P2. He's going to most likely get overtaken. I cannot see him holding on to P2 with these medium tyres for the rest of the race. So it's all about Base and Jer. We'll jump on board with Jer, as he will have the slipstream. He will have the best view in the house. Matty Player already a second behind him, so not too much to worry about. But DRS not enabled yet. This is all about the slipstream. Base and Steinmine really pushing it now as they go for 3 wide coming into turn 1. Steinmine gets overtaken through. Jer overtakes the 2 of them. As he moves around the outside and gets it done, he's moved up to P2, Base into P3, Steinmine trying to fight back into P4, around the outside coming into turn 2, will need to leave some space, and Base giving him room, and it will get done. And now you see Jer just shooting off into the distance. He has got 2 seconds to make up with 5 laps to go from Adri. With Steinmine now in P3, Base just couldn't, he did get the move done, but just left the gap open for Steinmine to attack back, unfortunately for him. As we see someone into the pit, I think that's Frosty in the pits. Yeah, already. Fruitful, it's right behind these guys. Matty Player as well, Doug Trio, and it's where Bronco comes in that the gap is starting to split a little bit now. Grak leaves the session after that incident, unfortunately for him. Hopefully he comes back again for another day. Counts this with a 3 seconds, which is going to be so bad for him now. 6 seconds off with the pack so tight together from this safety car. Every single penalty will be so much more devastating to these timed laps. There's not enough time left in the race for these guys to separate out by 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds and effectively nullify those penalties. So Steinmein, as we come through to the final straight, we should see DRS being enabled at the end of this lap. He has got Base right behind him. Base trying to use the slipstream to get through. Has he got the slipstream? He has. Will he have enough time left to make a move down to turn 1? Steinmein covers the inside. Base does not have the pace. That rhymes. To get the move done into turn 1. Fruitful just keeping an eye on things. Matty Player struggling to keep up a little bit, now falling a second behind. Jer still 1.6 seconds behind Adri, who is absolutely loving Steinmein. He owes Steinmein a drink if he's able to win this race, as Base gets the move done on Steinmein. Steinmein trying to fight back on those worn mediums, but now has to settle for P4. Fruitful having a look, it is his turn. Steinmein really struggling on those mediums now. Looks like his podium is over, assuming no more incidents have happened. So Fruitful trying to get down Steinmein, hoping to keep hold of that 4th position. Jer now 1.5 seconds behind Base, 3 seconds behind Jer. Looks like 3rd position is all he can ask for. And the race is now Steinmein. Can he hold on to that 4th position? That is going to be crucial. And looks like I'm getting reports that Grack had a pedal failure, unfortunately, which caused that incident, so his brakes failed. Such a shame for Grack. He was looking really good, had some great moments. But we jump back on board now. Fruitful in 5th position. DRS is enabled, so he will have it. Steinmein over a second behind Base, so will not have that DRS, will not have that pace advantage. Fruitful still half a second behind, so this is touch and go whether he does have the pace to get through. We see him closing the gap now, and whether he goes inside, Steinmein covers the inside, so Fruitful comes around the outside, does have the pace to go through, gives Steinmein the space to make the move done, but Steinmein will fight back and will get through onto the inside. Fruitful giving Steinmein the space to try and cut back, but just not enough space in the corner to cut back effectively. Does have a second go now in the second DRS zone. Shoots down the outside again for Steinmein. This time the closing speed is good enough to get the move done before the corner. And Fruitful moves up to 4th. And unfortunately for Steinmein, Matty Blair is next to have a go at him on the chopping block with still 3.5 laps to go. Adri still comfortably in 1st. Jer just with them both on fresh softs does not have the pace advantage to get any sort of closing speed. He is slowly closing around a 10th a lap, but with 3 laps to go and still a second and a bit behind, he needs more than that if he's going to get that elusive P1 that his pace for so long in this race has suggested he will get. Unfortunately for him, the pit stop strategies in that safety car have not played to his hands. We'll stay on board now with Matty Player. Steinmein has done brilliantly this lap to stay close to Fruitful, and assuming he gets a good exit here, he should get DRS from Fruitful, which means Matty Player will not have that huge closing speed and that huge pace advantage that we saw last lap from Fruitful on Steinmein. These guys now in the DRS train effectively, with Fruitful swerving left and right to try and break the toe behind, but with all of the pack behind them, he is losing a lot of time from the rest of the group as Boaz is at T-Mike. Yes, he's moving on the inside of Bronco and Boaz, and that is the second double move by T-Mike this race, but Boaz and Bronco fighting back as they go too wide into turn 2, but T-Mike gets it done. T-Mike, you legend, that is your second 2-car move this race, as we see Bronco now and Cowses fighting through, and Frosty, they've gone 3 wide into turn 3. This is crazy as Cowses now gets to move through on up to 11th position. Boaz fighting back on Team Mike, these guys 5 wide. And Cowses in the best car on the grid, the Williams, now moves up to 11th, taking advantage of the battling at the start of that lap to get a couple of moves done. We'll jump back quickly on board with Matthew Player and Steinmein. All sorts of battles going on with these guys now. as Steinmine again is managing to stay within a second of Fruitful. That is crucial if he's to hold on to 5th position. Matty Player desperately hoping that Fruitful can clear him on those tyres. Just a reminder, if I can find it, which one is it? There we go. Steinmine is the one with, as Fruitful's had an incident. No, Jer's had an incident. And Jer has lost it. I want to say has lost it. Loses his front wing. Our leader for so long. Absolute mega in qualifying. I want to say he's lost it in that final corner, as he was not close enough to get a move done when we last checked in on him. And he's dropped back, and that McLaren has opened the door for the other McLaren as Fruitful now moves up to 3rd position. Steinmine, in all that chaos, stays, and well, I didn't think I could be saying this at the point in which he first moved into 4th, but Steinmine is in position for a podium. Can you believe it, on those 15 lap old mediums with plenty of soft laps around him? On our penultimate lap here, Rob, who has pitted from that incident, getting fastest lap so far. Jer is pitting now, coming through on the softs, will attempt to get that fastest lap back. I don't know, to stay on board with here now. This is chaos. Steinmine right behind Fruitful. Matty Blair has lost a bit of time, is now a second behind. He needs to try and stay within a second and get that DRS, because he has got Doug Trio behind him, who is also close to that DRS zone. Current Day is having a look down Doug Trio as well. Don't think you want to make a move yet, as he has got the long straight. If he can keep this sort of distance, he should comfortably get the move done. Yes, Suzuki pointing out that final in that S-bend of the long straight, especially when your tyres are quite old, your rear end can get very twitchy, and if you're not careful, you can easily lose it into the wall. Looks to be the biggest issue for these drivers today, as we see one McLaren turning right in Sector 2. We see the other McLaren in Sector 3. And we jump on board with Steinmine. He will have DRS. He has got the slipstream. Can he get this move done and move back up to the podium spots? He's going to have a look down the outside of Fruitful. Doesn't quite have the closing speed, but is close. So moving into turn 2, if he can get a good exit, he'll move it back into the DRS zone and get another move through. He does have a decent exit here. A little bit of contact from the wall does lose him a bit of time, but he's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, he's got the closing speed. And now as you see Steinmine moving in on Fruitful, he moves down the outside as Fruitful covers the inside. Slightly ahead, but Fruitful still has the corner and closes him off. And Steinmine just gets squeezed out. Hopefully he hasn't got any damage. Does not look like he's got any damage. But Fruitful holds onto the place in this lap. This is the final lap. And my voice is getting hoarse from all of this talking. My word, what an end to the race we've seen here in Baku, Premier Tier. This has been chaos. So we'll have a look through. Remind ourselves of the grid. Adri, what a race. For so long, he looked like he was going to be fighting for second place with Steinmine. But the chaos of the safety car, with 10 laps to go, he has taken full advantage as he comes through now. The final corner. He is clear from the group. Frosty with a 3-second penalty. We'll stay on board with Adri and we'll make our way down, as I think there will be lots of movement coming through the final straight now. Adri, clear from the pack, clear from the group, clear winner today. Adri, from nowhere, is your Premier Tier Round 5 Baku winner. Base now comes through into P2. Fruitful has got clear of Matty Player. And looks like Steinmine has lost so many positions now. Matty Player comes through, so it's Fruitful in P3, fills out the podium. Matty in P4, Current Day in P5, Doug Tree in P6, Steinmine P7. Loses so many positions and loses his front wing. He was so close to a podium. Boaz in P9, sorry. Bronco P10, Frosty P11, Calcis in P12, Caliro P13, and Jer in P14. Steinmine, he was so close. He did so well on those old mediums. He was losing positions, he was fighting for his life, and the moment at which Jer, of all people, lost his front wing, he looked like he was going to do the unthinkable and fight back for a podium, but loses his front wing on the final corner. Driver of the day goes to Boaz. I mean, that's fair enough, but it has to go. Wow, it's hard to say. I'm gonna give it to this man in front of your screen now, Adri. Baku has so much chaos potential, and he took full advantage. Made the most of Jer losing it, having to pit again, moving up to first, and the moment he was in first position, he just did not look like he was going to lose it. Adri is your winner in Baku, filling out the podium as you see there. We have the Aston Martin of base in P2, and we have Fruitful, the McLaren. If one McLaren wasn't going to get on the podium, the other McLaren has done it and moves into P3. Jer does get fastest lap with a 1:39.3. We'll get bonus points from that, I do believe. But as we see your grid finishing up there, and before any of the admins shout at me, I will quickly get the incident list. Not a huge amount for Baku, I'll be honest. Well raced by these guys. And yeah, that is your round 5. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. And hopefully we'll see you either coming up with Tier 1 and Tier 2 again in Baku, or next week in round 6, which I do believe is France. Other than that, I've been Shaft. Have a lovely rest of the evening. Ta-ra.